Hey, this is Brennan from Comic-Con. Today we're talking with Saurabh Bhatia, who has started a website and an online app to read comics and trying to get comics into people's hands. So we're going to talk to him today about Comix.one. That's Comix.one. So let's welcome Saurabh to the online studio today. How you doing, Saurabh?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me on the show.
Appreciate it. So basically, what I'm hearing here, or what I'm reading here, is that you saw a bunch of other startup companies that entered the comic space with big promises about what they were going to deliver and things like that, and then changed their mind when they realized that there's not a lot of money in comics sometimes, or they brought in a bunch of AI, or just shut down because they couldn't hack it. What is Comics.one, and what are you doing here?
Comics.one, we are at Comics.one, we are building an ecosystem for independent comics. It can mean a lot of different things, but we're starting with a marketplace, which is where a lot of or existing players don't fill the gap. They it's a marketplace for comics that are either crowdfunded or that have already been created. So if you're a comic creator and you have a catalog, you can come in and sell your comics here. The next step for this would be adding a social aspect to it, so comic creators and fans can interact with each other. And the final step, well, not really the final step. The final step of phase one is adding crowdfunding right at the end of it. So we complete the whole we complete the whole cycle of comics creation and then selling them. In 2024, the right way to create comics for pretty much any creator and comic production company is going the crowdfunding way, and we can't get rid of it. Might as well so yeah, so we want to evolve that whole model into crowdfunding and what happens after crowdfunding. Yeah, so the first step, marketplace, is post crowdfunding. You want to keep selling your catalog to new
Mhm.
fans. The second part, social, is to actually retain the existing fans and build new ones, build more, keep getting interest in your comics. And the last step is obviously crowdfunding, because we can't forget that.
So if I'm understanding right, basically, what a lot of comics creators have realized is that if you're trying to work for Marvel or DC, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and the pay is not so great, but somebody's taking care of all the other stuff. So when you're crowdfunding, you have to find a printer, you have to find you have to find a means of distribution, whether that's in your living room packing all the stuff up or whatever. But more of the money goes to the creator. So you're trying to kind of bridge that gap between the consumer and the creator without taking as big of a cut as what like the big publishers do. Am I understanding that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we want to empower the creators with as many tools as we can. That's the main
Mhm.
aim, and like you said correctly, because creators have to do a lot of these things themselves. Like marketing, and so many creators talk about not trying to market because they don't love marketing, right? And also like printing and shipping and yeah, all these things take a lot of time and energy. I also understand that a lot of creators have other day jobs as well, so they have to do that and comics.
Mhm.
In this whole frenzy, a lot of creators end up creating lot less or not the best quality they can sometimes. you know if you have to do like three or four crowdfunding campaigns in the entire year, it becomes really really hard for them to actually do that at times,
It's a
just
lot.
because, yeah, it's a lot. So yes, we handle some of the stuff for the lack of better references. I think like Zoop is doing something similar for crowdfunding.
Mhm.
When they have like these tools where creators can actually give Zoop the whole printing and shipping responsibility, and um, we still work with the creators to ensure all these the quality of the product that they're putting out is still good. So they have a lot less to do compared to doing everything by themselves.
Well, and so you're kind of a manager who's overseeing all the details and making sure that things, because I've seen a lot of fulfillment get stalled because the printer had an issue, or they had an issue with they were going to sell 200 units, so they had one price, and now they've got 150 units. Now the price went all wonky, and they have to find someone else or whatever. So you're
Yeah.
kind of overseeing all the details to make sure that
Yeah.
those mishaps don't happen and that the product goes out on time.
Exactly, exactly. Some of the printers that who we are working with are the ones who have done this for like close to 40, 50 years, and
Mhm.
it's been their life. And like my local printer in Australia, I can actually drive to him, and if if they don't do it well, I can go and tell them, why are you not doing it?
Well, and the thing is when I was reading this information that got sent over in the press email, I was kind of looking at it going, how is this different from Comic House, from Global Comics, from Hoopla, from Overdrive? And I think there's a lot of similarities, but now I'm noticing there are some differences here. Whereas like Hoopla and Overdrive, those are library programs. The more the book gets digitally checked out, the more the creators get paid. So you're banking on the library providing this service so that you can get paid that way. Global Comics is mostly the big two, right? They do like Marvel and DC, but they're not shipping physical comics, I don't think. And
Yeah.
Comic House is a subscription service. And yours is not a subscription service. Yours is by unit. So if somebody wants to get Harrow County number 12, they can buy Harrow County number 12 for $3.99. And then your split is 85/15. So the creators would get 85. You keep the 15 for being the platform. And right now, you're doing this digitally, but you're trying to move into physical spaces.
Yes. So you pointed out absolutely correctly. That's the main difference between us and the other platforms. The other big difference is, I don't know how other platforms are doing this, but we provide as much support as possible to our creators in terms of giving them visibility over social media, through our newsletters, through our YouTube interviews. We recently hired a creator support person to actually tailor the entire press for them, like send it out to the media, create like angle for their story, for how they want to go to market with their book, and talk about it in the press, create press kits and things like that. These things actually cost a lot of money and time and energy for all these creators. We're doing this for free for them, and like, as a gesture that we actually genuinely care about them. So we work really closely with the creators on promoting their books, and that's probably the main difference, I would say, from other platforms. The other thing, like you said, is print on demand. So we're slowly, like, the print realm, when we start entering that, we'll slowly go into the print on demand service, where creators can put up their books digitally, and then readers can actually order them on demand. Like, you can order one copy or 5 copies or 10 copies. That way we'll start with going directly to the consumer on print, but end of the day, we can't forget comic book shops, and we want them to be, retailers to come into play at some point. This is, I know this is like a 3-year plan, but and I'm saying it out loud. It sounds a little crazy because I'm saying all these things in one breath, but it's a long term plan. We want to create this whole economy around comics, and we want everyone to win in this economy.
Well, and you said it a little bit in pre-interview. Is like this is a space that is not going away. Creators want to get paid. We put in a lot more hours in comics than I think anybody gets paid for, and so wanting to get paid better for what you're doing is obviously something we're moving towards. And this World Wide Web thing, I think it's here to stay. So at this point, um, crowdfunding and social groups on the internet and stuff like that. I think it's a big part of what we're doing in comics right now. I met most of the creators that I know because initially when I was doing this, I wasn't going to conventions and stuff. I was going on Twitter and things like that. And now Twitter's kind of in the toilet, and we've got Blue Sky and a couple other things. But a place where people can go and just talk about comics. And hey, I've got this comic I want to write, and find an artist or find a letterer, or try to pull things together. I think that's really great.
I mean, that's the idea with social, and also, like, so many artists and writers these days have hangups about artificial intelligence, right? Like, we touched
Mhm.
upon it briefly when you started. Every social network wants to add it because it's the coolest thing to do right now, and the jury's out on whether it is or not. But we're not doing that because we know, we understand. I've been a creator myself, and I totally understand where creators are coming from. It's also ethically and morally not correct
Mhm.
in its current state. That's why Kara was such a big hit when they launched, like a couple of
Mhm.
months ago. And I want to do the same, in the sense that I don't want to incorporate AI at all, for artists to be completely, like, have a complete peace of mind when they post on
Mhm.
our platform. So yeah.
So you're not mining the data and selling it basically is part of the
No,
promise that
no.
you're giving, right? Yeah,
No, in fact, like our analytics are completely privacy aware. We have open analytics. You can actually, as a creator or any person, can go and see what metrics are we tracking. We don't actually get any user data. We obfuscate every single piece of user data that ties them to their like emails and usernames and things like that. We only look at like how people use the website and
sure.
not who they are. So yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you touched on just a little bit that you have some experience in comics. Why don't you tell us some of the things that you've done in comics, just so people know where you're coming from?
Absolutely. So I I was part of this Kickstarter campaign a few years ago called Monster Mashup. So I was part of the production team there. We did an anthology with over it was what 35 creators in each volume, and it's a lot of fun actually putting together a whole comic book. A lot of work as well. But yeah, so I was doing the whole like managing the Kickstarter and managing the whole tech side of things for like both distribution and creation of the whole comic, and that actually gave me a lot of insight into how Kickstarters are run, and and over last few years helping a lot of other creators uh, getting their Kickstarters crowdfunded, and not just Kickstarters. We looked at other platforms as well, Crowdfunder
Hmm.
and Indiegogo and things like that. Um, Kind of like gave me an idea of what's missing, and that was like my first push. I was like, yeah, I think these things are clearly missing in our cycle of comic creation, and
Hmm.
we can do better. It's not that Kickstarter is bad or anything. It just it's a generic platform, right? It's not cut out simply just for comics.
Well,
It's for
it wasn't
comics.
intended for comics. It's been kinda owned by the comics community, but, it was for, like, prototypes for inventions and things for, like, this baseball, holder
Yeah,
thing. I think this was a Kickstarter at one point. But it was like, make a prototype, and if people believe in it, then, you're gonna get this thing funded so you can make it, and then comics people were kinda like, "Hey, we could kinda mold that," and now I think comics is one of the biggest things that, Kickstarter is known for,
yeah.
because it is kind of shifted into that space, and there's not a lot of people who are just like making prototypes in the garage these days.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, fun fact, comics make up the second biggest category on Kickstarter, both both in terms of the volume and how much
Mhm.
money they make on Kickstarter, and also success rate. So it's one of the most successful categories on Kickstarter.
What is
Nearly,
what is the number one category on Kickstarter?
it's RPG games.
Oh, well, that's in our
Yeah.
space too. So we have a guy on staff, Anton, who makes games. He works for Outland, and he's big in the game space or whatever. And there's a lot of things that go through Kickstarter through Outland and different stuff or whatever. So games, I okay, that makes perfect sense. So we have taken over Kickstarter basically. We got the number one and two spots.
Exactly, 100%. So and the good thing is, there's the encouraging thing is, GameFound is a company that's, I don't know if you know GameFound. It's something similar to Kickstarter, but it's completely tailored to the RPG gaming industry. uh,
Mm,
Kickstarter does around $150 million worth of RPG games every year,
mm.
and GameFound recently started, like, I think in the last year's numbers they did around 25 to $30 million, which is pretty impressive for like a company that just does crowdfunding for RPG games. So I think like there's a clear market. Comics is roughly at like 45 to $50 million in terms of
Mhm.
how big it is a category year on year on Kickstarter, and I think uh, there's a good market there for like companies like us to actually go in and build something that's so specific to comics, that's completely purpose built for comic book creators, that they can come in on the platform and get it crowdfunded. And there's all these unique delivery mechanisms, like you can just upload your book digitally and it's available for everyone, instead of sending somebody a Google Drive email or a link to
Mhm.
Dropbox for the PDF. Just upload the PDF. We notify all the backers. they get it on their iPads or mobile apps, or they can read on the desktop, so it should be simple as that, right? Rather than sending somebody links and then people are like,
Mhm.
oh, this link doesn't work for me, or this link is only valid for next 2 weeks. If you don't click on it for next 2 weeks, then your rewards are gone. So yeah.
Nice. Now, what about so if they've uploaded it to their iPad, are they also going to be able to do it to their new iPad in 2 years or to their computer? Can they get multiple devices from their uploads or
It's a
downloads?
vault. Yeah, it's a vault. It's going to stay there
Okay,
forever,
so they have access to
So
their own personal vault on there, so whatever device they're on, they can just pull it down from. That's convenient. I just
yeah.
looked up the Monster Mashup Kickstarter, and that thing funded in 25 hours. So uh, I guess you might know what you're doing because you set a goal that was reachable, and you marketed the thing, and you got it funded within a day. Well, just over a day, but good job.
Thank you. Well, it was a whole team, and it was not just me, but credit to the team as well.
Well, no, of course, I'm
Was
talking about collectively, you did a good job. Nice.
yeah, yeah. It was a fun campaign. It was
Nice.
months in building. This was back when I was on Facebook, and we had Facebook
Mhm,
groups for like writing. The great part about that whole campaign was there were a lot of first time writers and artists on it, and then it was so encouraging as a new writer for just to come in and like write the story, and there were people who are encouraging you, people who are actually reviewing your work, critiquing it in a very positive way. They're actually giving you constructive criticism on how to improve your writing and things like that.
mhm,
That's what I love about anthologies in general,
mhm.
um, and the thing that sparked this idea was, once the campaign was over, everyone, my friends and everyone, started asking me, what happened to the book? Why can't
Mhm.
we buy it somewhere else? Why can't we support you after the campaign? I'm like, I don't have the rights to the book. Someone else has it, and they chose not to post it anywhere on the web. And they were like, yeah, we can't post it anywhere on the web because it's too hard for anthologies to do that at times.
So, what's funny is you keep bringing up stuff that I'm about to ask and start answering the question before I've asked it. So this is one of the like least effort interviews I've had to do. But let's talk a little bit about the rights because that was my next question. Is so your split is 85-15. You're going to take 15%. The creators are going to split the 85. If there's 10 of them, they get eight and a half each. However, they split that, but then they retain 100% of the rights. You're just there for the service. And then when it's
Yes.
done and your part is done, you're done and they own it. So they can go and print it. They can go do what they want with it. They can sell it somewhere else once this thing is done because they retain 100% of the rights.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we don't want to be that kind of platform. We want to be, as part of being creator friendly. The best way platforms can be friendly to the creators is not lock them in.
Mm.
And because they, at the end of the day, they are creating the whole thing. They're putting the time, effort, money to do that. Um, we are benefiting from it, not the other way around. So,
Mm.
I mean, it's a mutual thing. We're taking a cut. We're saying you pay the
Mm.
platform fee, that's 15% in return for every sale, but that's a fair share of what they're already,
But it's kind of an eyes
selling.
wide open situation because 15% is 15%. I could do that math myself versus
Exactly.
15% of this plus 10% of this down the line and residuals here and this and that or whatever, where it gets so complicated that I think people get taken advantage of because they don't know how to do the math because it's so obfuscated that nobody could do it besides the person who wrote it.
Exactly. Amazon, for Comixology for that matter, like if you're an indie creator on Comixology, if you put your book up on the website, they advertise 35% as their platform fee. But the total platform fee to pay for Kindle Direct, for all the publishing tools that you choose, goes up to 65 to 70%. So you're left with only 30%. That to me is like, there's so much hidden cost there. I
Mhm.
just want it to be 100% transparent. I don't see a reason why we can't be that, and why we can't also we can. I mean, creators want to sell things their way. It's completely their baby, you know. Yeah, we'll put in effort from our side to make sure creators love our platform. They stick to us. I would love if creators are exclusive to our platform. Why not? You know, but I still don't want to lock them into a contract. It's completely their creation, and they can do whatever
Now
they
you
want
just
with it.
said something that I think is important. You would love that people would want to be exclusive to your platform, and the thing is, if you make it nice enough for them to be there, if you make it profitable enough for them to be there, if you make it easy enough for them to be there, why would they go anywhere else? And that's the thing is like, you don't want to sit there and be in a relationship that where you're forcing someone to be there because they can't afford to leave. You want to be in a relationship where, you're getting something out of it, they're getting something out of it, and it's easy to be in that relationship. So I see. It makes a lot of sense. To be honest, like I've learned a lot here in the last 21 minutes we've been talking because when I first got this information, I was like, okay, what's new and different about this? And as we're talking about, you telling me the things, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So uh, I. If I was writing a comic, this is something I would consider. Like, is there anything else that you think is really just a big hook that'll bring in an indie creator to Comix.one?
Well, our interviews are awesome too. I mean, you're doing a great interview right here, but we we also love talking to our creators, and we do lives and podcasts with them. Just because it's so much fun. It's just fun to actually get into the process of how creators create things, right?
Mm,
Like how people write this, plan their story arcs as a writer, and just is this something fascinating about where people are coming from. Like
mm,
you can see every creator comes from a very different point of view, and a lot of creators I've spoken to in the last year are like film students who wanted to write movies, but they ended up writing comics because that's something they can realistically produce,
mhm,
and as opposed to movies, and then you can see some of that narrative structure in the comic books as well.
mhm,
So I'm a huge comic geek, and this is kind of scratching my own itch for learning how things are created. So yeah, if you are a beginner, you can actually watch a lot of our shows and learn from the creators as well. So we kind of trying to enrich the ecosystem, and with all this positivity, and
mhm.
helping a mode of helping each other lift up. Yeah.
Sure. And I just went real quick to see. I'm on your website right now, and I was just seeing how easy it is for creators to contact you, and it's 2 clicks. I just went right to the
Yep.
front page. It says publish. You hit publish it, and then it tells you, "Hey, this is what we do," and tell us a little bit about yourself right there, and we'll get back to you. So I guess that's it. You go to comix.one, and when you hit the button that says publish, it takes you to /4 dash creators. And here's a page for you to go ahead and contact the folks and see what it is that you can create together.
And usually it's a pretty straightforward process. We create an account in a dashboard for the creators. They get to dress up their profile however they like. They can add their whole team. In fact, I think that's one of the other things that we stand out, as opposed to a lot of other platforms, is you can actually bring your entire team onto our platform and display that on your comic book page. So it's not just one creator. Sometimes some platforms like Kickstarter also restricts you to show only one person as a creator. But we want creators to bring their entire teams, and they have their own individual creator profiles. So when you click on their profile, you should be able to see all the works they have collaborated
Mm,
on. So it's not just one comic. If they have worked on 3 or 4 different comics with 3 or 4 different creators, you can see all of them on their profile, kind of like creating their own portfolio, right? Automatically,
mhm.
um, for them. So yeah.
Well, and that's an important feature too, that you're able to go, hey, I really like this Cullen Bunn fellow, or I really like whoever it is, and you sit there and you go, what else has he written, and you click on the thing, and it's got all the different comics just laid out right there. And then also, sometimes when you're looking for the artist, because it's not always the writer that sells a book. Sometimes it's the art on Winnebago Graveyard. So you want to look at what else has Allison Sampson done, because she's got this really visceral, like, kind of horror thing going on. So you want to see another great horror book for. So that's a great feature. So I think we just about covered everything. Like I said, I learned a lot in this interview. I really appreciate your time today. This is Saurabh Bhatia. The website and the app is comics, comix.one, and they're looking to do big things in the independent comics and Kickstarter spaces. So thank you very much for your time today, Saurabh. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the fantastic interview. I love being here.